True crime stories often leave us shocked and disturbed. But some cases are so chilling. They stay with you long after the details fade. This is one such story. A spree of burglaries, a brutal murder, and a criminal who slipped through the cracks of the justice system. This is the tragic case of Gray. In 1987, a man named Gray went on a terrifying burglary spree across California. Over the course of several weeks, he broke into at least 5 trailer homes and apartments. He was methodical, targeting older victims, ransacking their homes, and taking only what he could quickly steal, cash and jewelry. He left credit cards behind, perhaps to avoid suspicion or detection. But for the victims, it was the loss of their personal belongings that would have lasting emotional consequences. However, Gray's crime spree took a horrific turn when he targeted Ruby Reed, an 87-year-old woman who lived alone in her trailer home. What happened that night would forever change the lives of her family. On the night of her death, Gray broke into Ruby's home, where he would commit unspeakable acts. He sexually assaulted her and then, in an act of sheer brutality, crushed her throat with a plank of wood. But the violence didn't stop there. Before fleeing the scene, he stole jewelry and $20 from her purse, leaving Ruby's lifeless body behind, tied up with nylon stockings and covered in blood. When Ruby's daughter arrived at the home, she found her mother's body, and paramedics declared Ruby dead at the scene. But Ruby Reed wasn't the first victim of Gray's violent tendencies. In fact, his criminal history was even more disturbing. Just a few years before the murder, Gray had been convicted for a horrific crime. In 1983, Gray committed a violent crime in an apartment, where he assaulted a 64-year-old woman and her 8-year-old granddaughter. As the grandmother attempted to escape through a window, Gray caught her, pushed her out, and she fell, breaking her leg. Despite his violent actions, Gray received only a 6-year sentence for burglary and assault. But shockingly, he was released after serving less than 4 years. This early release allowed him to continue his reign. Just days after Ruby's murder, Gray was arrested during a botched burglary attempt. His capture put an end to his crime spree, but the damage was already done. Gray's trial took years, and in 1991, he was sentenced to death for Ruby Reed's murder. However, before Gray could face execution, fate intervened. In 2013, at the age of 56, Gray died of natural causes in his prison cell. He never saw the day of his execution. And for the families affected by his crimes, there would never be a sense of full justice. Thank you for listening to this true crime story. If you found this case disturbing, please like, subscribe, and click the bell to stay updated on future videos. And as always, stay safe and be aware of your surroundings.